There are some things in this universe that, if seen, could melt your eyes right out of your head. The elephant's foot at Chernobyl emits so much radiation that simply laying eyes on it can be a death sentence. Yet we humans are driven by an insatiable curiosity to explore and discover the unknown, even if encountering these discoveries brings about our demise.
Number 14. Elephant's Foot, Chernobyl. In the fall of 1986, during the Chernobyl disaster, emergency teams went into the basement under reactor number 4. Instead of steam, they found a black, melted mass of radioactive material that had melted through several meters of concrete. The most famous part, weighing 2 tons, was so dangerous that radiation sensors warned them to stay away. The Chernobyl disaster started on April 26, 1986, with a power surge in reactor number 4 due to poor design and human error. An emergency shutdown failed, causing a huge power spike. Control rods, which should have cooled the reactor, were inserted too late and cracked. This caused the temperature and pressure to rise, leading to the reactor's cooling water turning to steam and exploding, blowing off the reactor's lid. A second, larger explosion released radioactive material into the air, spreading fire and ash over a large area. The released radiation was 400 times more than the Hiroshima bomb. The affected area grew to 160,000 square kilometers, and the reactor core began to melt down. This meltdown, where radioactive materials turn into a molten, lava-like substance called corium, resulted in up to a third of the uranium fuel melting and flowing into the basement. This created a dangerous mix of molten uranium oxide, sand, metal, glass, and other materials. Corium, formed only during nuclear meltdowns, is extremely dangerous and rare. It can reach temperatures of 2,000 degrees Celsius in the lab, making it intensely hot and destructive. After the disaster, workers built a concrete sarcophagus to contain the radiation, but it wasn't perfect. In December 1986, they discovered the elephant's foot, a massive gray and highly radioactive lump. It was so radioactive that it could be fatal within minutes. Over time, the elephant's foot has decayed and become less radioactive, but it's still hazardous. In 2001, the radiation levels were still lethal within an hour, and today, it would take several hours to reach that level. Although it's cooling down slowly, if it comes into contact with groundwater, it could still cause explosions or further contamination. Number 13. Black hole. Black holes are incredibly strong and can rip stars into tiny pieces. They could even be powerful enough to destroy the universe. They form when a lot of matter is packed into a tiny space, creating gravity so strong that anything close gets torn into basic particles. Light can't escape, so they look completely black. If you fall into one, you won't notice anything unusual until you reach a point called the event horizon. Black holes are cut off from the rest of the universe, so we can't reach them or see inside. However, we know a bit about their edges. Black holes lose mass slowly through a process called Hawking radiation. This loss is very slow. Eventually, black holes will shrink and disappear, leaving only a bit of radiation behind. But this could destroy important information. Information isn't a physical thing, but refers to how particles are arranged. For example, carbon atoms can form coal, diamonds, or a banana. The atoms are the same, but the arrangement is different. According to quantum mechanics, information can't be lost, only changed. Black holes seem to challenge this idea because they appear to destroy information, creating a problem known as the information paradox. If information can be lost, it might mean rewriting the laws of physics, which is both troubling and intriguing. Alternatively, the information might be hidden or stored in a way we don't yet understand. Black holes grow their surface area to hold more information. So, the more information a black hole has, the bigger its surface becomes. This idea, called the holographic principle, suggests that all the information inside a black hole is stored on its surface, like a hologram. So, black holes might not destroy information, but encode it in a way that changes our view of reality. This could mean that the universe itself might be a kind of hologram, with everything encoded on a flat surface, even though it seems three-dimensional to us. Number 12. Vatican Secret Archives. The Vatican's secret archives have fascinated people for centuries. It's not just their unique history, but also the many stories and conspiracy theories about them in movies and books that spark curiosity. Recently, a publisher was given a rare chance to create a book about these archives, gaining access to parts that outsiders have never seen before to preserve sensitive information. Among these are the Vatican's reading rooms, which are visited yearly by around 1,500 researchers. Beyond these rooms, for the first time, we can now see footage of what lies ahead. The Wind Tower, accessible via a narrow staircase, features 16th century frescoes. This room was used for solar observations that helped create our modern Gregorian calendar. The diplomatic floor, built a century later under Pope Alexander VII, holds all official correspondence, making it crucial for studying the Roman Church's relations with states. The lofts above the west wing of the Corte del Badier, created under Pope Pius XI, contain extensive documents from the papal datary and the prefecture's archives. These rooms are situated above a gallery of geographical maps and have shelves stretching 13 kilometers. The latest archives, built by Pope Paul VI, include 2 underground floors, nicknamed the Bunker. This area holds 43 kilometers of shelves with documents from various church departments, including royal family papers. Special documents are stored in 2 climate-controlled rooms next to the bunker. Among the unique items are a letter from an English nobleman about Henry VIII's divorce, which led to the creation of the Anglican Church, and an Edict of Worms, signed by Emperor Charles, along with many other important documents with original wax seals. The book, published in Italian, English, French, and Dutch, was made possible by Monsignor Pagano, the Vatican's prefect of the secret archives. His goal was to make these archives and their documents accessible to the public. Number 11. Mutant Cow. In a remote village called Villa Ana in northern Argentina, farmers were shocked by the birth of a calf with a strange, human-like face. A 55-second video of the calf has become very popular online, showing it with a small nose and a mouth that made it look quite human. Sadly, the calf only lived for a few hours because it couldn't support the weight of its face. A local expert explained that the calf's unusual appearance was due to a misshapen skull. The calf had human-like eyes, nose, and ears, which were noticed at an animal shelter. Nicholas Magnago, a genetics specialist, suggested that the calf's strange features might be due to a rare genetic mutation. Magnago explained, "A mutation is a change in the DNA of the calf, passed down from its parents. This kind of mutation can happen spontaneously due to various factors like physical, chemical, or biological agents that disrupt the genetic material." Number 10. Snake Island in Brazil. Imagine an island where no people live, where there's no sign of civilization at all. Instead, it's ruled by snakes. Lots and lots of snakes. And this isn't just a story. Such an island exists. Located off the coast of Brazil, Ilha de Queimada Grande, or Snake Island, is almost in the middle of the sea. It's covered in dense forests and surrounded by the deep blue ocean, where the sky and sea blend into one. Though the island is incredibly beautiful, it's also incredibly dangerous. Home to about 4,000 snakes, it is known as the Kingdom of Snakes. These snakes are not just any snakes. They are Bothrops insularis, or golden lanceheads. They have a bright yellow and brown color, and their venom is 5 times more toxic than other poisonous snakes. Their bite is so lethal that it can cause death within an hour. The Brazilian government has banned visitors to protect both people and these highly endangered snakes. There's no effective antidote for their venom, which is why the island remains off-limits. Despite its rocky soil, the island is lush with trees, attracting birds that the snakes feed on. Snakes also hunt lizards, insects, and even other snakes. The island, spanning about 4.6 million square feet, has an alarming density of 1 to 5 snakes per square meter. It's the only place in the world where this snake species lives. Local legends and real incidents have only heightened the island's reputation for danger. In 1999, a lighthouse was built on the island to aid ships, but a family assigned to maintain it tragically lost their lives to snake bites, leading to automatic lighting being installed. Though off-limits to most, scientists visit each year to study the snakes, and the island also attracts wildlife hunters seeking the highly valuable snake venom, which can fetch about 17,005 pounds on the black market. This illegal activity, combined with habitat loss and disease, has caused the snake population to decrease significantly in recent years. The Brazilian government remains committed to protecting this unique and perilous animal kingdom. Number 9. Coca-Cola recipe. This is the original Coca-Cola recipe from the 1880s, created by John Pemberton, a Confederate veteran and morphine addict. The drink's unique taste comes from a mix of citric acid, vanilla, lime juice, cocoa leaves, caramel, alcohol, orange, cinnamon, lemon, coriander, nutmeg, and neroli, which comes from orange blossoms. Today, Coca-Cola's recipe is one of the world's best-kept secrets. But back in the 19th century, Pemberton wasn't too concerned about hiding it. He just wrote it in his diary and then died. After his death, a man named Asa Candler bought the rights to Pemberton's recipe, tweaked it a bit, and started the Coca-Cola Company. To keep the formula secret, Candler let the original patent expire because patents require revealing the recipe. This way, the company didn't have to share any changes in the formula. For decades, Coca-Cola didn't even write the recipe down. It was kept in the minds of a few trusted employees. In 1919, when Ernest Woodruff bought the company, he had to secure a loan and asked Candler's son to write down the recipe. This recipe was locked in a New York vault until Woodruff paid off the loan. In 1925, it was moved to another vault in Atlanta, and then to a special vault at the World of Coca-Cola in 2011. Only a few people at the company know the recipe, and they must keep it secret and never travel together. Workers at the factories only know how to mix pre-labeled ingredients. They don't know exactly what each ingredient is or how they all fit together. This is similar to how KFC keeps its spice mix secret. As of now, people have figured out half of Coca-Cola's secret ingredients, like phosphoric acid. You might wonder if all this secrecy is necessary. In 2006, some Coca-Cola employees tried to sell confidential documents and a new syrup formula to Pepsi, but ended up in federal prison. Even if someone stole the recipe, it wouldn't be easy to replicate, because Coca-Cola uses unique, legally controlled ingredients. The complex secrecy helps keep Coca-Cola in the spotlight, which is part of its marketing magic. Number 8. Blood falls. Discovered in 1911 by geologist Griffith Taylor, blood falls pours out of Taylor Glacier, giving off an eerie red hue that immediately catches the eye. This glacier is part of a massive ice field in East Antarctica, where temperatures plummet to around -17 degrees Celsius, making it one of the coldest places on Earth. Despite the freezing conditions, blood falls keeps flowing, and its red color has puzzled scientists for over a century. For years, people thought red algae was the cause of the color. However, recent research has revealed something astonishing. Scientists used radar to explore the ice layers and found an extensive network of hidden rivers and even a lake beneath the glacier, filled with highly salty, iron-rich brine. This brine stays liquid in the cold because of its high salt content, which lowers its freezing point and releases heat as it freezes. This heat keeps the surrounding ice melted, allowing the rivers to keep flowing. Incredibly, this brine is packed with iron, giving blood falls its distinctive red color. The brine originates from a lake beneath the glacier, and, under high pressure, it's pushed through cracks in the ice. As the brine moves and freezes, it releases heat, which helps keep the water liquid. The blood falls also harbor remarkable microbes that thrive in these extreme conditions. These microbes feed on sulfates in the water and generate energy in a way similar to how humans use food. Studying these microbes helps us understand how life could survive in harsh environments, possibly even on other planets. If you're interested in visiting blood falls, it's no easy feat. The remote McMurdo Dry Valleys are tough to access due to their remote and harsh environment. Visits are mostly restricted to scientists and researchers. To visit, you'd need to plan and get permission from organizations like the National Science Foundation. Visitors usually fly into McMurdo Station and then travel to the dry valleys by snowmobile or helicopter. Be prepared for extreme conditions and follow strict environmental guidelines to protect this unique ecosystem. Number 7. Tardigrades. Tardigrades are tiny animals found everywhere, from oceans to jungles and even mud volcanoes. There are over 1,000 species of them, divided into 3 groups: Eutardigrada, Heterotardigrada, and one mysterious group called Mesotardigrada, known only from a single specimen lost in an earthquake in 1937. First discovered in 1773, tardigrades got their nickname because their slow, bear-like movements resemble those of a bear. Their name, tardigrade, means slow stepper because of their sluggish pace. These microscopic animals range from 0.1 to 1.5 millimeters long and have a body with a head, 3 segments, and legs. Their legs, covered in claws made of the same stuff as crab shells, help them grab onto things and move around. They have a set number of cells that don't change as they grow. They simply expand. Tardigrades don't breathe like other animals. They exchange gases through their whole body. They use tiny, sharp teeth to pierce plants and small creatures, feeding on the fluids that leak out. Their tiny size makes them invisible to the naked eye. Tardigrades are famous for surviving extreme conditions that would kill most other animals. Terrestrial tardigrades can survive being frozen to nearly absolute zero or enduring heat over 150 degrees Celsius. They enter a state called cryptobiosis, where they dry out and become almost like glass, allowing them to survive harsh conditions for years. These creatures can withstand immense pressures, the vacuum of space, and intense radiation. They can also float around in the air until they find a place to breathe or rehydrate after drying out. Some can even go without food for up to 30 years. Unlike extremophiles that are adapted to extreme environments, tardigrades are just incredibly adaptable, thriving anywhere from mountaintops to ocean depths, or even your backyard. They've survived 5 mass extinctions and are well prepared for whatever comes next. Number 6. Ghosts. Belief in ghosts is deeply rooted in human psychology and culture, blending historical stories with personal and societal influences. On July 6, 1925, Thomas Blackwelder, a lawyer, was woken up by a knock at his door. When he answered, his neighbor James Pink Chaffin appeared, looking uneasy. Chaffin asked Blackwelder to come with him to his brother's house, saying he needed the lawyer as a witness. Blackwelder, curious, asked for more details before agreeing. Chaffin explained that his deceased father had told him in a dream about a hidden will in an old Bible. Despite the father's death almost 4 years earlier, Chaffin was convinced because he had just been visited by his father's ghost. To everyone's surprise, the will was indeed found in the Bible. The tale is one of America's famous ghost stories. James L. Chaffin, a hard-working North Carolina farmer, had died in 1921, leaving everything to one son, Marshall, in a will dated 1905. The other sons accepted this, though they were upset. In 1925, James Chaffin began having vivid dreams where his father told him about a second will, dated January 16, 1919, which divided the property equally among all 4 sons. James and the lawyer found a note in Marshall's old coat, directing them to read a specific Bible chapter. There, the new will was discovered. The court ultimately confirmed the will, despite doubts about why the father had hidden it in such a roundabout way. Belief in ghosts varies widely. This belief might be influenced by cultural factors and personal experiences. For example, some people report ghostly experiences more often if they believe in ghosts. Research suggests that humans are inclined to believe in supernatural beings due to a mix of cultural conditioning and psychological factors. Studies show that belief in ghosts and similar phenomena can stem from patterns and experiences that our brains interpret in specific ways. In some cases, hallucinations caused by stress or substances can lead people to believe they've seen ghosts. For example, in 1951, a mass poisoning in France led to strange hallucinations among those affected. People who frequently feel a ghostly presence might have damage to brain areas responsible for spatial awareness and self-perception. Experiments with altered sensory inputs can make healthy people feel a similar sense of another presence. Number 5. The bottom of the ocean. The seabed, also known as the bottom of the ocean, is where the ocean floor lies. It stretches across the entire ocean, forming what's collectively called the seabed. The shape and structure of the seabed are shaped by the movement of Earth's tectonic plates. Most of the ocean is extremely deep, where the seabed is called the abyssal plain. This area is mostly flat, but is interrupted by mid-ocean ridges, which are underwater mountain ranges formed by seafloor spreading. These ridges are slightly shallower compared to the surrounding abyssal plain. Moving from the abyssal plain toward the continents, the seabed gradually rises and transforms into different zones. First, the continental rise, then the continental slope, and finally, the continental shelf, which is the shallowest part. The term depth below seafloor refers to how deep you go into the seabed itself, as if you were drilling down through layers of sediment. The living environment of the seabed and the deep ocean is known as the benthos, which is home to various creatures adapted to these conditions. The seabed is mostly covered by layers of marine sediments, which come from different sources and can be classified based on their origin or composition. They can be terrigenous, from land, biogenous, from organisms, hydrogenous, from chemical reactions, or cosmogenous, from space. These sediments vary in size from tiny clay and silt particles, mud, to larger sand and even boulders. The features of the seabed are shaped by both physical processes and the life forms living there. Physically, sediments often come from land erosion or rare events like volcanic eruptions. Ocean currents move these sediments, especially in shallow waters where waves and tides stir them up. Biologically, microorganisms in the sediments affect their chemistry, and marine organisms contribute to sediment formation. For instance, tiny plankton, with shells made of silicate or calcium carbonate dye, and their shells settle to the seafloor, adding to the sediment layers. Human activities impact the seabed in many ways. For instance, exploring the seabed, dealing with plastic pollution, and mining or dredging for resources can all affect it. Ships use special acoustic technology to map the seabed's depths, and submersible vehicles help scientists study unique underwater environments like hydrothermal vents. Plastic pollution is a global issue, with much of the world's plastic ending up in the ocean, some of which sinks to the seabed. Additionally, seabed exploitation involves extracting valuable minerals through deep-sea mining or dredging sand from shallow waters for construction and beach replenishment. The intense pressure and darkness make these areas unreachable. Number 4. Lanternfish. Lanternfish, also known as myctophids, are small, deep-sea fish found in oceans all over the world. Their name comes from the Greek words for nose and serpent, reflecting their appearance. Lanternfish belong to the Myctophidae family, which includes 246 species and 33 genera. They are famous for their ability to produce light through bioluminescence and use it to attract prey and mates. Their relatives, the Neoscopidae family, also include some lanternfish, like the large-scaled lanternfish. These fish are incredibly abundant and diverse. Estimates suggest they could make up 65% of all deep-sea fish biomass, with a global weight of 1.8 to 16 gigatons. Lanternfish are fished commercially off South Africa, in the sub-Antarctic region, and the Gulf of Oman. Lanternfish have slender, shiny bodies covered in small scales, a rounded head, and large eyes. They have a single high dorsal fin, a forked tail fin, and a small adipose fin. Their pectoral fins can be long or absent, and their gas bladder may shrink or change as they mature. They have light-producing organs, called photophores, on their bodies, which glow in blue, green, or yellow. These photophores can form specific patterns, helping them communicate and blend in with their surroundings. Lanternfish are usually small, ranging from 2 centimeters to 30 centimeters in length. Shallow-dwelling species are bright and shiny, while deeper-dwelling ones are dark. They perform vertical migrations, rising from deep waters during the night to feed in shallower areas, and then descending again before dawn. This behavior helps them avoid predators and follow their prey, zooplankton. They often form large schools near the coast, and their gas bladders make them visible on sonar as a false ocean bottom, known as the deep scattering layer. Migration patterns vary widely among species and can depend on age, sex, and other factors. Lanternfish are a crucial part of the marine food chain, serving as prey for many animals, including whales, dolphins, large fish, seabirds, and squid. However, they've also been found to consume plastic debris from the ocean, and due to the depth of the ocean, they are far beyond human reach. Number 3. Blue hole. A blue hole is a big, deep underwater hole that opens to the surface and forms in places with limestone or coral reefs. It's filled with water that can be fresh, salty, or a mix of both. These holes go deep below sea level and sometimes have underwater caves. The most famous blue holes include the Dragon Hole in the South China Sea, the Great Blue Hole in Belize, and Dean's Blue Hole in the Bahamas. Unlike cenotes, which are inland and have fresh water, blue holes are usually surrounded by seawater. Blue holes are circular and have steep sides. They get their name from the striking contrast between the deep blue of the water and the lighter blue of the shallow areas. The water in these holes doesn't mix well, so deeper areas often have no oxygen, making it hard for most sea life to survive, though bacteria can thrive. The deep blue color comes from the clear water and the white sand at the bottom, which reflects blue light better than other colors. The deepest blue hole in the world is the Tom Jaw Blue Hole in Mexico, which reaches over 420 meters deep. The second deepest is the Dragon Hole, and the third is Dean's Blue Hole. Blue holes can vary greatly in size, with the Great Blue Hole being the largest overall, measuring 300 meters wide and 125 meters deep. These formations started to form during the ice ages, when sea levels were lower. Erosion from rain and chemical weathering shaped them until sea levels rose and flooded them. Blue holes often have a mix of fresh and salt water. The boundary between these waters, called the halocline, can erode the rock over time, creating side passages that can stretch for hundreds of meters. Some blue holes form from different processes, like collapse or erosion, rather than the usual karst processes. Despite their beauty, blue holes can be very dangerous for divers. At depths beyond 20 meters, divers may experience nitrogen narcosis, which causes confusion and disorientation. Visibility decreases with depth, making it harder to navigate. Divers should also be cautious of sharks, which are known to inhabit these areas and occasionally attack humans. Number 2. Lake Vostok. Antarctica, the coldest, driest, and windiest place on Earth, might seem an unlikely spot for a freshwater lake, but buried under 2 miles of ice lies Lake Vostok, the largest subglacial lake in the world, hidden for at least 15 million years. In the late 19th century, Russian scientist Peter Kropotkin suggested that the immense pressure from ice could generate enough heat to melt the ice below. It wasn't until 1959 that geographer Andrei Kapitsa, using seismic data, supported the idea of a hidden lake beneath the ice. In the 1970s, British scientists detected fresh water under the ice using radar. In 1991, Russian and British scientists confirmed the existence of Lake Vostok. The lake is home to at least 22 pockets of liquid water, each about 10 kilometers long. Despite being trapped in an environment saturated with nitrogen and oxygen, the lake has tides influenced by the sun and moon and stays at about -3 degrees Celsius due to geothermal heat. By 2012, a Russian team drilled 3,770 meters to reach the lake, collecting water samples. These samples contained unique bacterial DNA, revealing life forms never seen before. These organisms survive on chemicals in the rocks rather than sunlight, offering insights into how life might exist without the sun, and possibly even hinting at extraterrestrial life. However, contamination from the drilling fluid compromised the results. A second drilling attempt on January 25, 2015, led by Vladimir Lincoln and Nikolai Vasilisa, involved freezing the water as it rose through the borehole to collect uncontaminated samples. The harsh conditions suggest that life here might be similar to what we could find on other planets. Some scientists believe that complex creatures, like fish or crustaceans, might inhabit the lake based on gene sequences found, while others argue that 14% of the DNA doesn't match any known species, suggesting truly alien life. Despite these discoveries, the full nature of life in Lake Vostok remains a mystery, and ongoing research may continue to reveal secrets about this icy world and its past. Number 1. Voynich Manuscript. This ancient text has puzzled scholars and scientists for years. Despite the efforts of the world's top codebreakers during both world wars, no one has yet figured out what's inside. The Voynich manuscript has a fascinating history. It appeared and disappeared throughout the ages, from the library of Holy Roman Emperor Rudolf II to its purchase in 1912 by Polish book dealer Wilfrid Voynich. Voynich first revealed the book to the public in 1915, and it was named after him after he passed away from lung cancer in 1930. His wife, Ethel, inherited it, and eventually it ended up with Hans P. Krauss, who donated it to Yale University's Bynec Rare Book and Manuscript Library, where it remains today. The pages are made from calfskin parchment. It originally had 272 pages in 20 sections, but when Voynich bought it, many pages were missing. Researchers have studied the manuscript's ink and materials, confirming it dates back to the early 15th century. They found it used at least 14 or 15 calf skins, and the binding, made of goat skin, was added later. Some pages have insect holes, suggesting it may have had a wooden cover before being bound in goat skin. The manuscript is divided into 6 sections, each with unique content and illustrations. Herbal section contains drawings of unidentified plants and text that matches European herbalist styles of the time. Pharmaceutical section shows drawings of plant parts and objects that might be apothecary jars, some of which are quite fantastical. Astronomical section features diagrams of celestial bodies and zodiac-like symbols, including some lost pages. Balneological section includes dense text with small figures of women interacting with water, creating a flowing design. Cosmological section contains obscure circular diagrams and a fold-out map with mysterious islands and features. Recipe section lists many short paragraphs marked with stars, which at first glance seem to describe medieval medicine. Recent claims by Gerard Cheshire in 2019 that he deciphered the manuscript have been met with skepticism. Despite this, high-resolution scans of the manuscript are available for those who wish to explore its secrets further. Which of these astonishing things that humans were never meant to see did you find the most interesting? Let us know your answer in the comments section.